Okay, so hello there guys, and welcome back to R&G Forge. It's been quite a long time since I haven't filmed a video with the forged legs here. The video about making the metal frame has been out recently, but I filmed that ages ago. And today I just thought we'd take a quick look at the guillotine tool here, my guillotine tool. And this is just the guillotine tool I made yesterday. Fabricated guillotine tool. And I just thought, so I was thinking about filming how I made this. It's got a hardy shank as well. But then I just ended up not filming it because I just thought, well, I'll make it because it's not really a how-to video. It's just simply just the idea that I used. Just to give you an idea if you want to make a guillotine tool. Now, for those of you who don't know, a guillotine tool is basically a top and bottom tool, basically. And you can put all sorts of different dies in there. And then you just hit on top, you know, with a hammer. Like this, you know. And by the way, this is a new hammer. I've got my main hammer now for Christmas. And it's a 1.5 kilogram hammer, which is it's a hand forged hammer. Which is considerably bigger than the previous hammer I was using, which was an old hammer. As you can see, difference is quite a difference. This weighs 800 grams, not even a kilogram. This is a kilogram and a half. So almost, you know, double the weight of this. And I super. So if you've been forging, I'll put this here. If you've been forging for like, I've been forging for a year and a bit now. And if you've been forging for a year and you're getting quite good now, and you're really getting into it, I would really highly suggest you get a heavier hammer, because I've noticed now that the work just moves so much quicker with this hammer, and I can just get so much done. You know, even inch is really easy, whereas with this it was kind of struggling. But if you're a beginner, definitely stick to under a kilogram crossbeam, you know, because you get way more control. This is really hard to use, because 1 kilogram is ideal. This is even heavier, and yeah, it takes a bit of muscle, and it takes, you know, some coordination, but it's really worth using a heavier hammer. But for a beginner, stick to under a kilogram. But that's not the topic of this video. We're talking about the guillotine tool. And so if we take the dies out here, a bit messy with the camera. So take the dies out, put them there. So this frame is the same as most fabricators and blacksmiths would make a guillotine tool. This is basically the same, but then the dies is what's different. So normally, what you'd have, this is 16mm square as a spreader, so it'd be 16mm thick, and then you'd have the gap is 6.5, so 650 millimeters. No, not 655, 65 millimeters apart. And so what you normally have in this case, if you had this exact frame, is oops, dice on the floor. You'd have a 16mm by 65 flat bar that you'd use and cut in half, and then you can make a butchering tool. You can make these, or you can make what these are, which are fullering dies. But so this is the frame, and it's a proper frame, you know. So basically, what the frame is, it's got a hardy shank on the bottom, a 40mm plate. Or this is 40mm by 5, but as long as it's thick, and as long as it's larger than your hardy hole, any plate will do for the bottom. Then it's got inch by 5mm, so that's a weird saying half and half. So it's 25 by 50 by 5mm, or inch by, I think it's 732, but I'm not sure. And so this is the same as I said. So this is just basically all tacked on first, and the sides are just tacked up here, and then everything is just welded down here, and also the hardy shank. So that's the frame, and then in terms of the dies, this is what's different. So I've only made full-room dies so far. So the bottom die, let's pick it up from the floor, is just a piece of 16mm square, or a piece of why am I messing up the measurements? I don't know. I need to stick to one unit. I'm going for both units. And 12mm round bar here. So that just slides in the bottom, and that's your bottom fuller. That goes in like that. Okay, and then this is what's different. So the top here is the same thing, you know, a 12mm on the bottom, 16mm, 12mm round, and 16mm square on the top. And then it's just got an 18mm round thing on the top here that it slides in like that. And then you can lift it up here, put your work under, and then strike on top of here. And this is highly beveled because this is a normal steel construction, so the dies are probably gonna have to be changed eventually because they're gonna completely mushroom and deform. But that's all I had for now in terms of the stock size. So that's like you can put your work under hit on here. Now, so you can see, I'll just show you the construction again here, just to give you the idea. So you're gonna make it similar to this. And it's got a couple. I can't do this one hand. It's got a couple beads here because it was a bit loose. It ended up a bit loose in the sides here, and so I just added those beads to not make. Because otherwise, what would happen is you're putting like a piece of flat stock to put like a tang on a knife, like for the bevels, the shouldering. It would go like this, whereas now it's much more stable, and it won't do that. But this literally, I made it in like under probably like about half an hour, and so you know it's really quick to set up. It looks really ugly, you know. I mean, I wouldn't go selling this. Not that I would sell fabricated stuff because I'm not a fabricator, but it's a bit ugly, you know. I'm not terribly good at welding, but to be fair, these are so good welds compared to what I used to do. But it takes, so this is completely functional, it just doesn't look good. And it's not how you normally make the dies. The dies are made different. So why did I make the dies like this? Well, the main reason is because I didn't at the time that I need, because I need it now because I'm working on a hammer making project, which I will do videos on as well. Working on making some hammers. I'll do some test pieces first and then do a video. But that's why I need the fullers, because I'm going to be making a rounding hammer. So the reason I didn't make it with like the normal flat bar you'd make this is because one, I didn't have it, and two, it's quite expensive, and for people that need some getting too quick and easy, and this works, it's just a bit of welding, you know. And but because what you can do then, if I ever do get the plate, I can just take these dies out, make the proper dies, and the frame is the exact same as you normally make it. So you know, that's why it's good. But these dies are pretty cool. That's a nice idea I came up with here, and we'll test them out today. Not on the video, but I'll test them out to see if they work properly. And so yeah, that's just an idea for like the guillotine tool here. And you can also buy the guillotine tools, of course. But I just didn't see the point. They cost like nearly 100 quid, you know. And you can easily make it if you have a weld. If you don't have a welder and you don't want to get one, and you need a guillotine tool, then you can. But to be fair, if you don't have a welder, and you're more like with a traditional blacksmith, you can just make spring fullers, or spring butchers, or spring cut-offs, whatever you want, because you can put all sorts of dies in here. This is just handy, because it's similar. This is better than a spring fuller or spring butcher, because you can change the dies, and so you need only one frame. You know, and you use up the steel once, whereas you know you're using about 1.5 meters to make a spring tool, you know. And so if you have a butcher, a fuller of different sizes, because this is not the only size. This is the size 1/2 inch that I need for the off camera the hammers. But you know, you might want an inch fuller or something. That wouldn't fit in this frame, of course. But you know, you might want a 3/4 inch, which would fit, because you can just adapt the sides here, you know. Like grind them off so they slide down the track, and then leave the 3/4 inch on the bottom, because 3/4 inch is 18mm and this is 16, so it's a bit smaller. But I mean, you can make it wider, and this is good because you don't need, you know, fancy steel for this. So you can make it out of mild steel, but also the fancy size. You don't need a fancy size. These are pretty common, you know. You'll use these for making pokers and for making like drifts. I made like hammer drifts here. See if I can find one. You know, I use the 18 for all sorts of stuff. You know, hammer drifts, punches. So yeah, so this is really weird because you don't need load of this like weird sizes, as I said. And we'll see if it works today. And that's it really. So hopefully that's given you some ideas actually. And it was hopefully was helpful, and you've got some inspiration on how to make your fuller. It's quite handy now also if you make this fit both sides. And the difference is, you know that 25 I said I used to forge it down. This time I tried grinding it down. It took a bit longer, but the main thing is actually the corners, taking some of the corners off. The advantage to this is that when I forge it down, it only fits one side. Because my hardy and my bending fork only fit one side, whereas this you can fit, you know, all the sides round. And that's really a benefit, you know. Okay, that side's a bit wonky because the handle here is a bit welded on wonky. It doesn't really matter, you know. It's not going for an exhibition or anything. It's a bit really wonky, but okay. I just need it because I'll probably make a new one eventually. But as I said, it's quite handy for it fitting all sides in the hardy hole. But it does fit better this side, and it's the side I'll be using it in this here, because as you can see I'm in a really tight space, as I've said so many times, and so I can't fit behind the anvil. And so I'm only going to be working on this side, and I may occasionally put it this way, depending on what I'm doing, if I need some extra length along this side. But yeah, so as I said before, hopefully this was helpful, hopefully it's giving you some inspiration on making your own guillotine tool. And I really suggest you do make one when you become like an intermediate blacksmith, and you've done your basic blacksmithing, you know, because it's going to be useful for fullering, which is what I'm going to be using it for now, but probably the main use in the long term is going to be butchering. And if you're not familiar with that, we'll do a video on that eventually. And it's just basically like creating like an offset. You can create tenons with a butchering tool and all sorts. But yeah, so this is just the video this morning. Today I'm going to film a video on how to make one of these one of these barbecuing forks here. So if you want to see that, stick around. And probably going to come out today. We'll see. This is one I made when I first started blacksmithing. This was one of my first projects. We're going to be making the exact same thing here, and that's quite nice. I'll put that there. So yeah, I'd like to thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next time then. Oh, actually, I'm going to be filming today, but we'll see you guys. Maybe you'll see the video a bit later. See you.